monthly rentals. 625-6463 or on the web at westcountyequipment.com. The Franklin County Community Development Corporation, growing sustainable businesses and communities since 1979. www.fccdc.org. Weld Communications, Marketing and Publicity, helping businesses spread the word in the Pioneer Valley and beyond. www.weldwords.com.
There's a better life if I could be debt-free, but all my money is a mystery. I was feeling overwhelmed and it was wearing thin when I knocked on the door and heard the doctor's in. Oh, the doctor's in, the doctor's in. She got the right prescription to help you win. Oh, the doctor's in, the money doctor's in.
Hello and welcome to the Money Doctor Show. I'm Dr. Frances Rayam, president of Power Down Debt, a positive debt management company, and my guest today is none other than Jay Fidanza from WHAI Radio, 98.3.
You do that so well.
One of the Saga stations. Thank you for being here, Jay.
You're doing all my job for me. You're mentioning Saga, you're getting in the call letters, it's perfect.
Well, welcome.
Will you be doing a time check later?
No, and in fact I struggle with the numbers sometimes. I always remember it's WHAI, you're the morning show guy. I remember that.
Thank you for having me here because I can really use the $250.
Oh, you're very welcome.
You're welcome.
Yes, and I really don't mind paying you to be here.
Thank you so much.
Of course, this is all joking. You are not paid to be here, and we should say that because, no, do not get up. Thank you very much.
You told me, I know it. I'm tied in. I'm tied to my chair.
You're tethered to that chair, you are.
Tethered.
So I wanted to start a little bit just about saying how we met, because you came over here directly from the radio station. You finished your morning show, you came here to do our television show.
Well, I stopped at Brad's place and had something to eat first.
Love Brad's place.
Jack Baker bought me breakfast.
Jack Baker's a good guy.
So it worked out perfectly.
Jack Baker will be on the show soon.
I haven't seen him for so long.
You're going to see him soon,
okay.
Really soon. Okay, so what happened when we met is that I had started Power Down Debt, which was a debt management company. I wanted to advertise on the radio. The radio station sent a salesperson over to see me, and then when they came back with a proposal, they had a surprise for me. Surprise, we would like a financial expert on our air providing content. Would you be interested in it? So I thought about it. I said, yes, I'd be interested in doing it, but I told them, unbeknownst to you, that I really only wanted to talk about basic financial information. You didn't know it when I came in to see you, and I remember that you were all worried about, I don't know about finance, I'm a regular guy. Do you remember that day?
Yes, if you say so, then I do remember that.
Yeah,
yes.
I remember that. So we talked about regular finance stuff. I said, what I want to talk about are things that everybody thinks you're supposed to know, but nobody tells you. And that's sort of why I asked you to come in today, because when we're off the air, you and I chit-chat about your personal life, my personal life, all of that.
Yeah.
And you very bravely have agreed to come here and talk about some really hard topics that other people, certainly most people don't know about you, but other people are afraid to talk about, or in some way they might get some help out of you sharing your story. So first I'd like to get just a little bit of background on who you are, what it's like to be a DJ, and then I want to get into the nitty-gritty of all this tough stuff that we talk about. So you've been in radio for
4 decades.
When you say it like that, 4 decades.
Doesn't that sound a lot better than saying like 42 years?
I don't know.
42 years makes it sound like really long. 4 decades makes it sound almost like honorable.
Wow. Well, it does. It is honorable. Not many people are in one job. Not many people are in one job for 40 years any longer.
You can look at it 2 different ways. Either I'm very lazy or very loyal.
I'll go with B.
And you know what, Frances? When I took the job, they said this is a 2-week trial, and no one said anything to me yet. So I think I'm still on. probation.
I'm still on
probation.
Yeah.
It might be double probation. I don't know. But it's been 4 decades. I started when I was 18 years old. I knew when I was 13 years old that that's what I wanted to be. Yeah. You know, there were things like kicked around. We needed teachers in those days. I thought about going into dentistry, but my science grades weren't that good. Thought about being a history teacher, and I said, why should I go to school for 4 years to be in school for the rest of my life when I've been spending all these years trying to get the hell out of here?
Yeah.
You know? And I grew up in the 60s when radio was a lot different than it is now, and I was very influenced. And that's the way I went. I knew what I wanted to be when I was 13. And
tell me about that. How has radio changed from the 60s to today? What do you see in your
This is how long a show? I mean, it's to me personally, radio has become much more formatted. The boundaries have become really, really firmly implanted. There's not, for people like me who works for a corporation, even on the lower echelons, and even being a morning man who's supposed to be more out there, more creative, you still basically have to stay within the boundaries, and that I find difficult for me. I'm more of a
creative kind of a guy.
I'm more of a laid-back type of guy who just, you know, there might be dead air and you don't want dead air, and you know, I might stumble over something. I'm like the guy talking to you over the fence, is the way I look at it.
Right.
And it's a lot less formatted. Music is much more formatted. The music playlists are a lot smaller now.
You have less creative leeway, like in the 60s
I'm
or 70s?
very blessed because I work for some really good people.
Yeah.
In the sense, my program director, my general manager, give me a lot of latitude, but still within the boundaries. They don't say anything until I step over the boundary.
Yep.
And after 4 decades, you usually know pretty much what you can say and what you can't. If a red flag comes up, if you've got a bit you want to do and there's a red flag and you say to yourself, yikes, I don't know if I should say this, then don't.
Right.
And I usually don't.
Sure.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
So, you know, you pay the consequences.
I know that when we're together and we're doing our segments there, we're supposed to keep them to a certain amount of time, but we have a little leeway if we've got a topic that's really good and you and I are chit-chatting and it goes over. Nobody has.
Well, we're both I think we're both very talkative.
Are we really? I never noticed, Jay.
And quite often, instead of 5 minutes, it becomes 8. But
it does, yeah.
But you're a great client, and I want to do whatever I can to make you happy.
Oh, thank you very much, and that seems so sincere.
And I do mean it sincere.
But it was sincere, I'm sure, yeah.
Sincere.
So, all right, so you start in the radio business. When do you meet Maggie, your wife, Mrs.
Fidanza?
Mrs. Fidanza.
I met her in 1977, just before I was going to take a leave of absence from radio and go cross-country with a friend. And of course, that put the kibosh on it because my social life, especially with girls, was not that productive, and I figured if I found one like her, you know what, I can go cross-country anytime. You know, if I commit a crime and have to take off, that's the same thing. I'm seeing the country. That could happen. Who knows what the future is? So I met Mrs. Fidanza, and, you know, it was not love at first sight on her part, but
you wore her down.
I chased, she chased me until, what was it? I chased her until she caught me.
That's right, yeah. So you've been married 34 years, roughly, if my math is correct.
This is the way I look at it. We're married in '79. Everybody else has to do the math.
Okay.
You know, I tell her we should have got married in 1980 because you get the 0 and it's a lot easier to subtract.
That helps, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
how long have I been married?
Because I want to write that down. 34 years this year. I'm
34. Yeah, in May.
79.
Yeah,
34,
how did you know that? 34. So I have until next May before I have to worry about it again.
Okay. All right. So you're now a radio DJ. You're married. What happens in your life? This is the parts I wanted to get into. We start to talk about off the air. You run into some trouble in your life.
Well, I've had a lot. I mean, I've run into a lot of trouble, but I haven't gotten caught, mostly. Okay. You know, I mean, I've done. Who amongst us, you know, hasn't sinned, you know? Here come the Stones. Right, yeah. But I mean, I've had my problems. I've told the people on the air that I don't drink. You know, I haven't had a drink since, I don't remember my anniversary, but my anniversary of not drinking is January 10th, 1997.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a drink. And I had I had a problem drinking, and so I worked on that. And
now, when you say you had a problem drinking, would you say you were an alcoholic?
I couldn't get enough. That was the problem, I'd say.
So you struggled with alcoholism?
Yeah, but no one knew it.
Nobody knew it, right?
And I wasn't at work drunk, and I wasn't driving drunk and, you know, spending the grocery money. We didn't have groceries.
No, of course not.
I drank too much, and it was controlling my life. And I finally got to the point, you know, I started drinking when I was 14. Stopped drinking when I was 44. That's a long time. So I figure I'll stop for 30 years, and when I'm 75 or 74, I'm going to start drinking again.
You're not really going to start drinking again.
So that was a problem, and I wish I could take back all the years of being in a fog where I wasn't really there. Do you know what I mean? The little, the minute things, the little tiny things that make up a life, the things, the look that you get from somebody or something that they say. And I know a lot of that stuff went right over my head because I was a sop, you know. And that's one of the best things I ever did because I've saved a lot of money, and I'll tell you, I feel a lot better.
Well, not drinking, I'm sure you feel
well, you think you're going to feel better when you drink, and you don't necessarily always, it doesn't work out like that. So
I really commend you for being able to come on the show and talk about it, because it is something a lot of people struggle with. And I think what you're saying is common. People figure, I'm going to work, I'm okay. I'm functional, I'm okay, but I'm drinking too much. And under the surface, you know.
Oh, I knew the whole. No, I knew the whole time. I mean, all my friends stopped drinking. You know, we drank in high school, and I'd see other people, and they'd mow the lawn and have a beer. I'd mow the lawn and have 3 beers. You know, a case. But I mean, it was stretched out. I'd get home and have a beer, and then have a beer with supper, and so on and so forth.
Yep. Now,
so that's one problem.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
But well, I don't want to all be about
you can go ahead. You want
but it leads me to ask you about your faith a bit. We have conversation off the air, and I know that your faith is what gets you through things, and without sounding like we're getting on a soapbox about it or anything like that, that's what gets you through this stuff, right?
Oh, I don't mind proselytizing. A lot of what I think is one of the things I think of about my faith is the Bible says that Christians are supposed to be a light. Well, do you hear a light? You see a light, right? And one of the greatest compliments I get is from my coworkers or friends who say, now, I know you're a spiritual person, so I'd like to ask you this. I'm not the type of person who shoves it down anyone's throat, and I would be happy to talk about anything. You know, I'm not a theologian, but I'm spiritual. I have a relationship with God. I'm a fundamentalist. I'm very Old Testament and New Testament type person. And I don't keep Christmas or Easter, but I keep the holy days that are in the Bible. And my faith, my relationship with God. God's the most important thing. God, country, Mrs. Fidanza, and family, and then you, of course. And Jimmy,
I made it onto this list.
Jimmy behind the camera.
Bailey,
I'm not supposed to look at it. I forgot.
Too funny. Too funny.
Okay.
Thank you. So now, you're originally from outside Boston.
Hudson, Massachusetts.
From Hudson, Mass.
Hudson, Mass. I say Hudson, people go, New York?
Oh,
and I go, why would you say Hudson, New York is like 2 hours from here? Hudson, Mass is like 80 miles, or as you drive.
What was life like growing up in Hudson, Mass?
Oh, it was awful. That's why I'm here in the Valley.
Was it? Did you?
Oh, yeah, it was one of those. Hudson's a great place to be from. And I had a normal childhood. You know, we had, my mother and father were there, and my sister, and we had a house, and we had dogs, and I went to school, and I worked, and I went through, you know, the same things everybody goes through. And when I had the opportunity to come out here, I thought that this would be a stepping stone, but I liked it so much here in the Valley that I decided to stay, much to the chagrin of thousands of listeners up and down.
Actually, we're the lucky ones, I think, on that.
That's nice.
Now who sounds trite, right?
That's sincere.
So if you've just tuned in, my guest today is Jay Fidanza from WHAI, and we're talking about Jay's personal life. Yes, I want to talk about, someday we're going to switch places. I'm going to ask you some questions. Well, this is kind of fun for me. We have turned the tables. Usually, I'm in your studio, on your turf, and we are talking about my stuff.
But you notice I talk as much on your show as I do here?
Yeah, I love that part.
On your show.
I love that part.
I talk as much on the radio with you as I am here. I yak. I shouldn't. That's why the show is 8 minutes long instead of 5.
That's my favorite part.
All right.
Okay, so we have a lot to cover still, but before we go into a break and let our underwriters talk for a moment, I want to talk to you. You said you struggled with alcohol at one point. Tell me the story about saving somebody's life, having your life saved. You say this to me often.
Oh yeah, well, that's kind of it's kind of a weird thing because it gets into part of it gets into my fundamentalist beliefs. The order was I saved somebody's life, I took somebody's life, I had my life saved. Very briefly, we were at a place that everyone went swimming in Hudson called Lake Boone. And one of the younger kids, I was trying to think how old I was. I was probably 13. One of the younger kids, he was probably 10, wasn't a swimmer, and he used to wear one of those life preservers that doesn't work, the ones you put, the belt. Why would anybody wear a belt when they could wear a Mae West, you know, one of the big ones, right? Well, this young man went out too far, and my sister, my cousin, and my cousin were standing on the dock, and all of a sudden I see, I'll use his name, Billy, I see him out about 50 yards, way out, and all of a sudden he slips through the belt.
Oh,
then he comes up through the belt, and I go, that was a really neat trick. And then he slipped down, and I went,
not so neat.
He's in trouble.
Yeah.
So I just ran off the dock and swam out, and I grabbed him, and I says, you know, Billy, I'm leaving this stinking belt here and let it float out to sea. And he's kicking and screaming. And I told him, I says, if you do not stop, then I'm going to go like this.
I have to let you go, right?
And he stopped.
Yeah.
So that's how, and you know, it's funny, my aunt died a couple of years ago, and at the excellent meal they have after someone dies, you know, everybody goes, and that's the best part.
Celebration.
The celebration.
Celebration of life.
Billy was there, and Billy came up to me and he says, you know, Jay, I want to say thank you. Isn't a day goes by that I don't think about you saving my life.
Wow.
And my sister, who was on the dock, standing there, looks at me and says, you saved Billy's life?
I don't remember that, right?
Well, yeah, that's why I saved Billy's life, because obviously you were, you know, not paying any attention. The taking of the life had to do also with a family member, and she ended up having an abortion, and this was way back when abortions first became legal and not in this state. And I set everything up. I took her to Boston for the consultation. I took her to Mineola, New York for the operation. I took her home. So that's something I did then willingly, and something I wouldn't do now.
Yeah. At the time you had to believe it was
At the time, I was thinking about the person who I could see.
Sure.
Now I think about the person that I can see and the other person.
Right, yeah.
That's my own personal feeling.
Yep.
My life being saved, as you know, I've been ill, as I talked about too much on the radio.
Yeah.
And then part of it was because I was sick and on drugs and out of it, and the drugs were so and so on.
Oh boy,
I had a blood
I saw you during that time.
Listen,
you were
my
really
blood,
a sick man.
I was out there.
Yeah.
I was, as Abraham Lincoln said, I was off the track.
Yeah, you were off the track.
I was a little bit off the track.
Yeah.
My blood pressure was 200/110.
Yep.
I just took it yesterday. It was 114/62.
Yay! Can I get a woohoo?
Woohoo!
Right.
Jack, woohoo! Give me a woohoo. Can you give me? There you go.
Just so people out there aren't wondering, Jack Baker's
audience.
in the studio today, and he'll be on the show soon.
Hey, and I came down with this illness called myasthenia gravis, which last month was myasthenia gravis awareness.
Can I buy a vowel on that?
It's a very rare muscular disease, but you take meds and you're okay. So there you go. And Dr. Thomas, Dr. Verstring, Dr. Arcolio, Dr. Padmanabhan, Dr. Shenoy, they all, Tom Miner, the optician, all saved my life.
Can't say enough good about them.
Can't say enough good.
Okay, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the one topic that made me ask you to be here, which
it's so tough.
And you know it. It's tough.
I don't know why
it's going to help other people.
It's so embarrassing.
I don't know either, but we'll talk about it when we get back in a moment.
Underwriting for the Money Doctor Show is provided by Ryan and Casey Liquors, Main Street, Greenfield. Exploring the world, one glass at a time. West County Equipment Rental of Shelburne. Daily, weekly, monthly rentals. 625-6463 or on the web at westcountyequipment.com. The Franklin County Community Development Corporation. Growing sustainable businesses and communities since 1979. www.fccdc. Weld Communications, Marketing and Publicity. Helping businesses spread the word in the Pioneer Valley and beyond. www.weldwords.com.
Hello and welcome back to the Money Doctor Show. My guest today is Jay Fidanza, and we're talking about Jay Fidanza's personal life. Jay's a disc jockey at WHAI, which is 98.3 here in Greenfield, one of the Saga stations.
Whoa, you do that so well.
The woohoo, of course, is Jay's trademark.
Well, you know, I can't take credit for that. That was actually from Jeff Terrell and a friend of his.
Was it really? I always wanted to ask you, how did you get a woohoo?
I got the trademark on it. He's out of luck.
The woohoo. Can I get a woohoo?
You want a woohoo?
Yeah, I want a woohoo.
Woohoo.
Oh, that's not
good at it.
Come on, you can do better than that.
Woohoo!
That's much better.
Do you have anything to eat?
You sound like a scrubbing bubble.
Do you have anything to eat?
Do I have anything to eat? No, I'm
There's
sorry.
no green room here?
Oh, there's no. This is community public TV.
Do you want a banana?
No, I'm the second banana on this one.
So go ahead.
Okay, you're going to eat this banana.
You ask, I'll eat.
Okay, well, this is a money doctor first.
Because I am hungry.
Okay, well, you have the banana if you'd like to.
Okay.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Yes.
When we're off the air, one of the things that you've said to me over and over again is...
Is he really going to eat a banana on TV?
You know what, I don't know, but I've only got a little bit of time to get through this.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You got to help me here. Okay, this is very important to get this out. One of the things that you tell me all the time is very difficult, is admitting that you had trouble with money. It's easier for you to admit...
Never enough of it.
It's easier for you to admit that you were an alcoholic than it is for you to admit that you had trouble with money.
I'm embarrassed because it's a manly thing, I think. Men are supposed to be able to provide, and I think Mrs. Fidanza would agree that I have provided, but I got myself into problems because I had a credit card, and I know you and I have gone around on this before, difference of opinion, but it's a friendly
Have we?
Yes, because I feel it's my parents' fault.
Oh.
Because they didn't teach me how to handle money, but they did not have money themselves.
I was going to say they didn't need
So they didn't know how.
They couldn't teach you how to manage
But they
money,
taught me how to make my bed and change my sheets and do my laundry and say yes ma'am, no ma'am, and hold doors open and be polite and wash up all the time and have clean underwear. Oh,
yes.
I forgot to wear underwear today.
I'm so sorry.
So
I cannot help you with that, Jay. This is why our 3-minute segments turn out to be 9 minutes.
Could you do socks? All right, so what happened is this. I had credit card problems. I got into a great deal of credit card debt. When I say a great deal, it was a great deal for me. I hear about people who owe $100,000, $200,000. It wasn't anything like that. But it woke me up in the middle of the night with cold sweats because it was my credit card. It didn't reflect on the family. Mrs. Fidanza didn't know about it. That was one of the things that was really bothering me.
That's the biggie, isn't it?
Well, I was hiding it
because it eats away at you.
I was hiding it from my best friend.
Right.
But I didn't want to bum her, and I didn't want her to know that I was not good with money, even though this happened. You know when this happened like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So we were married 20 years. And every time we'd go on vacation, because I felt she deserved having things.
Sure, you're trying to be a good spouse and give her stuff.
There was one time, Francis, I was working 5 jobs, and all I was doing was paying the minimum.
Right.
And I kept switching credit cards to get lower rates. And I went to I talked to a counselor. I told you. He said to me, "Mr. Fidanza, you're doing everything that you can possibly do. You're working 5 jobs. You're paying all your, you're paying the minimum."
Right.
He says the only thing we can do is pray about it. He was a deacon in a church, as it happened to be in Florida, and we ended up praying about it. And you know what? He says, if I were you, I'd file for bankruptcy. And I went, oh, now I got to tell Mrs. Fidanza, because where were you all? Yeah, So I mean, I went. I got a lawyer and I filed, and back in the day it was like $50, was it $50 to file and $700 for the lawyer or something, or vice versa, something like that.
Exactly, sure.
And it was really, but see, you know what? I wasn't one of these people who said, I'm filing for bankruptcy, so I'm going to just put more stuff on my credit card.
Right.
I stopped using my credit card for a year. I threw my credit cards away, but I was still in massive debt. And you know what I would do, Francis? I would make a payment. I'd work so hard. I'd make a payment, and I'd go, I worked so hard. I made a payment. I deserve to use this card again.
I deserve.
and I would.
Yep.
And it just and you know what?
Yeah.
God blessed me. The magistrate I saw down in Springfield was very understanding. Mrs. Fidanza's had illnesses. He saw that I was working. I had been a long-term employee. I hadn't used my credit card for a long time, and you know what, that was like 10 years ago, and I still do not have a credit card. Mrs. Fidanza said, the only way you're going to ever touch a credit card is to use it to scrape the frost off the windshield of the car. I've got a debit card, and I've got that
comes out of your account automatically.
It comes out of my account automatically.
Has a Visa logo on,
but it also is one of those deals where if the money is not in the debit, sorry, insufficient funds.
Right.
If I don't have the money,
protection,
you know what? Yeah, overdraft protection. You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, still pretty sure.
Anything else?
Okay, so first of all, I can't say this enough. it is extremely brave, I think, and courageous of you to come and talk about this in public. And I know that you did it for one reason and one reason only, because
the $250.
That $250,
which I'm not getting.
No, you're not going to get that now.
Okay.
You ate the banana. The deal's off.
It's my banana.
The deal is off. Okay.
The deal is off.
But when we talked about this off the air, you were willing to do it in case it helped someone else.
Well, that's why I talk about being an alcoholic.
That's right.
That's why, and I have friends who have drinking problems who will grab me by the neck and don't tell anybody I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
Don't tell them we're going to a meeting.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, if I'm Jay Fidanza and a schmo like me can overcome, with God's help, drinking and financial problems. Now, look we're not rich by any means. Right. But we're okay. We're doing all right.
Sure.
Although things are pretty tight right now. Things are really tight.
Come see me.
And that's why I should see Francis Ray. I'm the money doctor. What's your phone number again?
Oh, come on.
All right, you'll get it at the end. We'll get that at the end. So, I mean, you say it's brave, and the more you say it's brave, the more I feel bad about it, because I go, in the sense of, I'm a failure.
Honest.
I am.
It's incredibly honest.
Yeah, that's one of my problems.
Now, the failure thing is what the whole crux of this is. Mm-hmm. It was easier for you to talk about having a problem with alcohol than it was for you to talk about having a problem with money.
Right.
Because in America, when we don't handle our money well, we feel like failures.
Like a failure.
If we don't handle alcohol well, we say we have a problem.
Yep.
We don't handle drugs well, we need some help.
Yep.
We don't handle money well, we're incredibly embarrassed.
Yep.
And we feel guilty. And we don't tell our spouses or whatever the case is, right?
Exactly.
And there is always a way out. Now, for you, it was a bankruptcy back then. Power down debt wasn't even in existence then.
I would have
If it had been, I could have helped you on this one.
I would have been knocking at your door.
Can't help everybody,
seriously.
but I could have helped you on this one, yeah.
Well, timing is everything, but you're here now to help people, and they have the opportunity that I didn't have. And it's funny how everything seems to have worked out. I'm going to just eat this later.
Sure, you save that for later, honey, in case you need to.
Maybe next show. The thing is, everything, timing is everything. You're in the perfect spot. You're very knowledgeable. I've talked to numerous people that you've helped. I mean, it's amazing when you say, and you don't tell me who they are, but
I can't tell you who they are.
No, I know, but they tell me.
That's nice.
And they say, "Jeekers, I met Francis, and she's helped me so much."
Yeah.
But it's hard to file for bankruptcy now.
It's harder to file for bankruptcy, and it only wipes out your unsecured debt.
Yeah, exactly.
All that being
but
said,
I was lucky because I had unsecured debt.
Right.
Nothing else was hurt.
Right.
My family was not affected. Maggie was not affected. Her credit is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, God forbid anything happens to her, I won't be able to be on eBay ever again.
You won't be able to be on eBay?
No, because I use her credit card.
We've only got a couple of minutes, but tell me what happened on eBay.
Very briefly.
Yep.
I love blues music. I love free cell. I love the New York Yankees and baseball generally. I love history. I love Abraham Lincoln. I love eBay. I love to go on eBay and just look around.
Yes.
All these things that I had that I threw away are now worth thousands of dollars. Who would have guessed?
Right.
But I just enjoy it. I've made a lot of friends. I've met a lot of Christians. There's a lot of nice people. And why I like eBay is because I love flea markets and tag sales and antique stores, and they're just about gone, and they're on the internet in the form of eBay. So
you collect
I'd be very careful. I collect things. Okay. I collect different things. I'm a big collector of books on Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
I have the complete Nicolaitan lay, which is $1,000 set, and I got it for like about $250 because I married it. I put it together piece by piece. So that's one of my favorite things. So I mean, yeah, that's it.
Okay. I have to ask you about public speaking. We only have about 30 seconds.
All right, in 30 seconds.
You're available for public speaking.
I love to speak. I will speak on any subject for a price, but I mean, I've spoken to classes. I've been in front of 5,000 people. I've been in front of 500 people. I've been in front of 5 people. If they want to get in touch with me on any subject, I just spoke at the ceremony for Memorial Day in Bernardston. I gave the speech that day.
That's nice.
I enjoy doing stuff like that. They can get in touch with me at WHAI.com.
Now, I have to say, I saw one of your speaking engagements. I want to say Chamber of Commerce breakfast.
I think I did.
You had a fabulous, I won't give it away, but you had one of the best openings to a speech I've ever seen.
Well, I was going to do that here because I'm used to radio and you don't see me. So what I did was I said, can everybody see me? And they said, yeah, we can see you. I said, good. And I got down behind the podium and hid and just started to speak from there saying, That's more like it for me.
You gave it away, but it was fun. You'll come up with a new one. So Jay, I have to thank you for being here. I really appreciate that you came out. And
I thought you were handing me the. Oh no, I thought you were handing me $250.
Yes, yeah. You didn't notice.
Thank you very much.
You didn't notice.
You're a really nice person. I'm blessed to have you in my life.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks for doing this. I'm Frances Ray. I'm the Money Doctor. Thanks for watching another episode. We'll see you soon. Until our next chat, Jay Fidanza and I reminding you to keep it positive.
There's a better life if I could be debt free, but all my money is a mystery. I was feeling overwhelmed and it was wearing thin when I knocked on the door and heard the doctor's in. Oh, the doctor's in, the doctor's in. She got the right prescription to help you win. Oh, the doctor's in, the money doctor's in.